We are about to start the month of June here in Season 5 of the Chicago White Sox franchise here on MLB The Show 25. Approaching the halfway point of the season, we're currently 30-23, half a game out of first place behind Minnesota, who I would not have expected to be at the top of the division going into the year. I would have thought they'd be competing towards the bottom. We did just win a series against them, though. And as we get set for the month of June, we've got some tough matchups, including the number 1 seed Texas Rangers, who are back after a down year last season. We've got them on the road to start the month. We've got them at home to end the month, along with a couple other big series. We've got Milwaukee, we've got Seattle, we've got Baltimore. So despite the fact that we are firmly in the mix for a playoff spot, we're half a game out of the division. We're number 1 in the AL wildcard race right now. Despite the fact that we've done well, we have gotten hammered by the injury bug. We've been having guys dropping like flies. In April, Cody Hosey, season ender. Hagen Smith, out for 2 months. And then in the last episode, Dylan Cruz tore his ACL. Now we are getting some good news. Douglas Cato, who tore his Achilles last June, is set to come back after missing a year, which I'm really excited about. Obviously, he has a hard time staying on the field, but when he plays, he's good. In terms of some other storylines, Luis Robert has not slowed down from his hot start. If anything, he's continued to heat up, with his OPS nearing 1,100, WAR already at 3.4. He's been the best player in the American League, slugging .650 over his last 10. I mean, this dude's just on another planet. He is the runaway frontrunner right now for the AL MVP. I don't think there's anybody close to him at the moment. 3.4 WAR, next highest is 2.7. Gunnar Henderson's just on a planet of his own in the National League. His OPS starts with a 12. So maybe Lou Bob hasn't been better than Gunnar Henderson, but otherwise he's been the best player probably in all of Major League Baseball, and he's done it at a good time for his wallet, given that he's a free agent at the end of the year, which we talked about a little bit in the last episode. I don't want to worry about it too much. Rather, I want to enjoy the ride with this MVP-esque season. After missing April, Corey Julks came back for the month of May, and yeah, he's been pretty good. 15 extra base hits. He's hitting .424, on base percentage at .500. WAR is at 2.1, which is tied for 11th in the American League, and he's played, I don't know, maybe 40% of our games this year. He's insane. This is an all-time LINSANITY run, if you can even call it that at this point. He's cooling off a little bit. His OPS over his last 10 is at like 1070, which is low for his standard. I mean, the thing with Julks is so strange. He kind of broke out at the end of last year as a 32-year-old, and he's just taken it to another level this year. When Julks gets hot, he seems to just go nuclear. He had a similar streak like this in the minors a couple years ago, but it's a little different given that, well, you know, that's minor league baseball. This is the big leagues. We also brought up a couple of rookies in the last episode, including our top pick last year, Shane Schmidt, who's been pretty good so far. The contact is coming along. He's drawing a lot of walks. The power has improved significantly. He only had 2 extra base hits through his first like 20, 25 games, but now the home runs are starting to come along for him, which can really unlock another aspect of his game. We also brought up Jason Morabel. You would have figured it would have been Barney Wagner joining Shane Schmidt in the big leagues, but I decided to go with Morabel given that we needed depth in the outfield with the injury to Dylan Cruz, and he's given us exactly what we could have asked for. He's hitting for solid average 275, he's getting on base, he hits for no power, he has 1 extra base hit, but this is exactly who he's been in the minors. The dude hits, the dude gets on base, even if he doesn't hit anything other than singles. The pitching, of course, has been very up and down. Noah Schultz is a double agent for the Boston Red Sox, although he's pitched better over his last couple of starts, but still, we're paying him the biggest contract in White Sox history, and his ERA starts with a 6. Drew Thorpe hasn't been a whole lot better, of course, so getting Hagen Smith back over the next couple of weeks I think is going to really help us out. For now, we're going to have Hayden Wesneski take his spot instead of Prelander Baroa. As for the bullpen, Ezra's leading the way. He is not in first place for reliever of the year, which is a crime. He absolutely should be at the top. The entire bullpen's been really good, but him in particular, he's been awesome. There's been a lot to feel good about through the first 2 months of the year, but what we don't feel good about is the contract extensions that we gave to Noah Schultz, and Edgar Quero. We looked at Schultz's numbers a little bit earlier. Let's look at Quero real quick, whose April slump has turned into a much bigger concern. Is it possible we've just overrated him through his whole career? I mean, his on-base percentage through his career is only .307. That'd be 25th in Major League Baseball. That's not that impressive. Now, granted, he is a catcher, specifically a power-hitting catcher who plays good defense, but he only has 5 home runs this year. And his slump that was noticeable through the month of April has carried over into May. He's not been good at all this year, and he was struggling at the end of last season as well. Speaking of the Blue Jays, I was excited to play against them because of Antoine Sonnenberg, but he's on the IL with a torn finger ligament. And remember, he missed pretty much the entire season last year with an Achilles tear. His durability is 89, so it looks like it's more bad luck than anything to worry about. But I think this makes the Rookie of the Year race wide open in the AL. And for a guy like Shane Schmidt, who didn't play the first few weeks of the year, he could rise up that list if he continues to play well. So we're going to hop into this second game against Toronto. We lost the first one 9-7. Now the score is 6-7. Luis Robert's at it again. Homer, he's driven in 3 runs. But we're in danger of blowing the game as David Marin swings way too early. The Blue Jays have already scored 2 in the 9th, so much so that we had to take Ezra Valenzuela out of the game. Carlos Estevez looking to get the save, and he's in a good spot, working a nice at-bat here with Marin. The 1-2, swing and a miss! We went off speed for much of the at-bat. I wanted to go high fastball. He mislocated the fastball. It was down the middle, but he overpowered Marin, who was behind it. And we hold on and are able to get the win. Jagger Haynes, 6 scoreless. He pitched a really strong outing for us. He's been probably the best starting pitcher for us this year other than Bryce Miller, which doesn't say a whole lot, but still. Lou Bob homered, Shane Schmidt homered. Schmidt also homered in the first game of this series, so that's now 5 homers over the last 10 games for him. Here in the last matchup, we're up 2-0. Bryce Miller is looking for the complete game shutout. With 2 away, Ryan Bliss hits it high into right, and it will be caught by BMO. I don't think I've ever seen someone so excited for a routine fly ball. The game decided to take Bryce Miller out for the 9th. This was not my doing. This was the game. They're bringing in Ezra Valenzuela, who just allowed 2 runs in the previous game after only letting up 3 the entirety of the season before that. Luckily, Ezra was able to shut the door. We win the game 2-0, and we win the series. 2 very high-scoring games to start, and then a pitching duel to finish things off. Jake Bloss pitched well, but he was outdone by Bryce Miller. Brian Ramos drove in the only runs back in the second inning. Colson Montgomery with a triple. Edgar Quero had a good game. Quero played well in all 3 games against Toronto. This first matchup, we lost 9-7. The offense was great. Schmidt homered. Quero homered. Morabel's continuing to play well. Quero drove in 4 runs. This was Hayden Wesneski's first start. He wasn't great, but he wasn't bad. Jairo Iriarte let up 4 runs, and his ERA, which was in the 2s, balloons into the 4s. Good to see Quero playing well, though. His WAR went up from .1 to .5. His OPS went up 50 points. Him and Shane Schmidt. And if we can get Schmidt going, that's going to be a big deal. I think we're going to compare him a lot to Woody Landry because obviously he was our highly drafted first baseman in the Marlins series. And if we look at them, Schmidt was the better hitter off the bat. Woody was a lot more athletic, though. He had a stronger arm, and he was a lot faster. Although Shane Schmidt has 10 stolen bases. He's 10 for 11, which means he's effective and efficient in doing so. But he's really slow. He's doing this with a speed rating of 20. And it's not like his stealing or base running aggressiveness is that high. Yet he's tied for 4th in terms of stolen bases, and he missed the first month of the year. Let's look at the speed ratings for these guys. 91, 93, 71, 69, 89, 20. 20! While not playing in the majors until late April. Why is he running so much, and why is he so successful in doing it? It doesn't make sense. So now we're officially in the month of June, which means Douglas Cato is off the injured list. He's back. We're going to have to send someone down, though, and in terms of looking at outfielders, I want to keep Cato up. Obviously, it's not going to be Lou Bob. It's not going to be Corey Julks. It would be either Jason Morabel or Braden Montgomery. And I want to keep Jason Morabel up. I get the extra base power hasn't been there, but the dude's getting on base. He's playing good defense. He's fast. Whereas Braden Montgomery has really struggled at the plate. He's only hitting .211. He's only homered twice. I think a trip to the minors would do him well. It's not like Edgar Quero or Noah Schultz, who are more established players making $100 million. With BMO, he has less than 2 years of MLB service, so it's not like he is some rich, I don't know if entitled is the right word, but he's not some rich big leaguer who has his spot on the team firmly established. The weird thing is, it's not like his approach has been bad. Career high in walk rate. His strikeout rate has decreased massively. So I'm not sure what the problem is. I think getting him in the minors will hopefully help him out, because if Braden Montgomery can be a good offensive player, the rest of his game is so good. So we need him out there. Douglas Cato, I think, is going to platoon. I don't want him out there every day, at least for now. I would rather play guys like Montgomery, Colson Montgomery, that is, and Chase Mydroff, who's been playing well this year. And with Cato's injury history, I just don't think it makes sense to keep him on the field too often. All right, let's do our wheel spin. I think I am going to pick Edgar Quero. We've already talked about him in depth. He's playing a little better after the Toronto series, but the fact of the matter is he has not been good for us this year, and he was not good at the end of last year. So this is really half a season worth of a sample of him struggling at this point as he lands on light work. All stats go up by +1. We'll take that. Not too bad. So an unexciting but good spin for Edgar. He's now an 88 overall. His potential goes up to 92. All right, let's go through the rest of the spins across the majors. Last time around, we were in the American League Central, which of course is our division that we're now in first place in. In terms of some of the highlights, Brooks Lee landed on bombs away, +1 power for every home run he hits. I was excited for him because he's a good power hitter, but he only homered 3 times in the month of May, none of which were against lefties. His power against lefties has gone down by 6. Now, he'll still get the +3 boost, all of his homers coming against righties, but kind of a disappointing month for him. Alec Marsh had a +10 boost to his per-9s, and he was fine. Not as good as he was in April, oddly enough, as he's now nerfed to where he was. Luis Rengifo landed on crisscross. His stats against righties and lefties flip-flopped. I think it kind of helped him a little bit, but, like, not really. Still very much a bad contract made by Detroit. And then Jeremy Pena landed on spitting image. And unfortunately for Pena, he didn't have a great month. He did not draw many walks. The power was bad. Everything else was fine, though. Like, he hit for decent contact. I don't think there's a lot to change with him other than the plate discipline and the power. I gave him a small boost in terms of his contact because he was able to keep roughly the same average while struggling across the board elsewhere. We're going to pick the NL East to spin for here this month. The NL is loaded. I mean, they've got all the best teams this year, it feels like. The Dodgers are just on another level as everyone. But you can't forget about the Phillies, who had the best record in baseball last year and won the World Series. We're not going to spin for Randy Arozarena, but we've got to look at his stats. This might literally be one of the best contracts ever. 3 years, I think $30 million. He had a 5-WAR season in 2027 and 2028. He's been even better in 2029. What a signing by Dave Dombrowski. Aiden Miller's really broken out. Justin Crawford's really broken out. Couple of former first-round picks. I mean, everything is going well for Philly. The vibes are unbelievably high. The best part is Kyle Tucker, who's been out since last June, is healthy. He tore his ACL, and the Phillies went on to win the World Series without him, and he was their best player before he got injured. So now he's coming back, making this team all the more dangerous as he lands on no easy outs, plus 0.5 plate discipline for every walk. Luckily for the Phillies, Kyle Tucker draws a whole lot of walks. He had just 34 in 54 games last year. That's nearly a 15% walk rate. That's really impressive. Next up, we've got the Mets, who I can't really explain the Mets. Like, they're having a good year, but Garrett Crochet's been kind of disappointing. Yordan Alvarez has been disappointing. Juan Soto sucks. He went from overpaid to just flat out bad. He's not even drawing walks anymore. His walk rate's 7%, and his WAR since the start of last year is 0. This is like one of the worst signings ever. Mark Vientos has regressed. Francisco Lindor hasn't played all year. So why is this team so good? I don't really get it. The pitching rotation's been up and down, but I would say arguably their best one has been Christian Scott. Now, even he, statistically, has been kind of disappointing this year, but Scott has turned into a great player for the Mets. A really, really good number 2 as he lands on long-term star, +1 potential for every .3 WAR. I think this is a good one for him as he's kind of hit his ceiling, but now maybe there's a second gear he can get to. Yordan Alvarez, of course, left for the Mets from the Marlins this past offseason. Miami's been just fine, though, without him, 32-25, despite the fact that Jackson Merrill hasn't been good. Connor Norby's taken a step back. Granted, he won the MVP last year, so it's fair. Cal Raleigh hasn't been that good either. Brandon Marsh, though, has been terrific. He has been their best player. This looks like a great signing by the Marlins. A guy who's usually good in MLB The Show sim, but this season in particular, more than ever. He's hitting .333. He's got a chance to win the National League batting title. Spitting image, again, we literally land on this every episode. This is insane. How does this keep happening? The Atlanta Braves are, of course, in the midst of a rebuild. They've got a gritty, fun group, though. And I'm curious to see what they do with guys like Michael Harris and Austin Riley, who are getting older and have been here. I would kind of expect them to be traded, and the Braves to continue to push for this new era. One of the young guys I like is starting pitcher Jackson Ferris. I tried to trade for him a couple years ago when we were shopping around Brian Ramos at the deadline. The Dodgers were unwilling, and they used Ferris in a package deal for a guy named Ronald Acuna, who's a little bit better than Brian Ramos, so I see why the Dodgers said no. Elbow soreness, number of innings must decrease from the previous month. And unfortunately for Jackson Ferris, he only pitched 4 games in May. So if he throws more innings, he's going to have to spin the wheel of Tommy John, which gives him a 50-50 chance of Tommy John, which would keep him out for this year and probably all of next year as well. Unlike the Braves, the Washington Nationals are not gritty. They're not fun. They're awful. They have to trade James Wood, I feel like, at the deadline. He has a year and a half left on his deal. He's going to be back from his injury in a couple of weeks. They've got to capitalize on value and make this happen now. Other than him and Kyle Manzardo, this team really has nothing going for them, especially the pitching. They traded Mackenzie Gore to Cleveland for Kyle Manzardo, which was actually a pretty good deal. Manzardo's been great for them. But they then signed Gore back for whatever reason. At least he is not as bad as Reynaldo Lopez, whose ERA starts with the number 8. He's been a disgrace. His ERA has not been above 3 since 2020 with the White Sox, but he's been one of the worst players in Major League Baseball, period, this year. He lands on an interesting spin. Keep it in the park. He will lose 1 home runs per 9 for every home run he allows. This is kind of funny because he's already let up 14 this year. His home runs per 9 is at 2.5. Last year it was at 1. He's tied for 3rd in all of Major League Baseball in terms of home runs allowed. So it's a little bit ironic that that's the spin that he lands on. All right, now that we've gotten through our wheel spins, we can make it through June. I kind of want to play one of the games against the Orioles. I think they've got kind of an interesting squad. So we've got a West Coast road trip, 3 in Texas, 4 in Seattle. Kind of ironic because last year we ended the season in Seattle and then in Texas when we were battling for a wild card spot. And obviously didn't get it because our offense is filled with trolls. Corey Julks has homered twice here in the Mariners, a game we lead 8-0. We ended up winning 2 of 3 against the Rangers. Didn't hop into any of those games as Julks swings and misses on the pitch from Troy Taylor. Julks did not have a great series against the Rangers. I was worried the LINSANITY run was over. Clearly wrong. Kyle Teal and Luis Robert each bring in more runs. Tyler Locklear ended up hitting a home run for Seattle to cut the lead all the way to 9. Impressive win here for the White Sox. Julks leading the way with a pair of long balls. Colson Montgomery also homered twice. Love to see it. Everybody was good except for Edgar Caro, who went 0 for 5. Jagger Haynes, 6 scoreless. Another really good start out of the lefty. Spencer Strider, meanwhile, got shelled. We ended up winning the second game, so we're 4-1 in June, off to a good start. We're up 6-5 here in the bottom of the 7th. Bases loaded for Anthony Santander. Missed the first 2 months of the year with an injury, but he is back. Into foul territory. It's caught by Schneemann. I thought about letting it go to avoid the sacrifice, but I figured, let's get the out. Yes, they're probably going to score and tie the game, but let's get the out. I trust our bullpen here to make a play here. I don't trust that it'll be Penn Murphy, though. We're going to take him out of the game, the former Mariner, and replace him with Tony Santillan. Tyler Locklear is up for the Mariners. Locklear has homered in all 3 games in this series so far. He homered against Murphy in the first matchup. He homered in the second game that we won. And he's homered tonight. He is red hot. So I think Santillan, with his impressive clutch rating, he'll be able to get him out. As Locklear looks at the inside fastball, count is now 1-2. That was arguably a strike, though. They could have run him up. Following pitch for Locklear. Goodbye! Crushed into left! And the Mariners take the lead. 433 for Locklear. 4 home runs in 3 games in this series for Tyler Locklear. The Mariners lead at 9-6. Okay, I guess the master plan did not work. As Edmundo Sosa puts it on the ground, Schmidt makes the play. But the home run by Locklear ends up being the difference. The Mariners win it by the final score of 9-6. Despite the loss, though, I like that the offense is stacking some really good performances together. We've scored 26 runs through the first 3 games against Seattle. Granted, all 6 of our runs came in the 6th inning today. But Morabel had 3 hits. His average up to 326. Lubov had 3 hits. Schmidt had 3 hits. The pitching's just been way too inconsistent. So having Hagen Smith coming off the injured list is really good news. Not that he's known for his consistency at all, but it changes things up in the pitching, which I think we need. We signed John King out of free agency to take his roster spot. I think he's been pretty good, and I want to keep him up. So we're going to send down Prelander Barra. Had a great year last year. This season, not so much. So he'll go down to AAA for the time being. For now, Wisniewski will hold on to that 4th spot in the rotation, but that'll be Hagen Smith's once he's healthy, probably in a few days. As for the last game against Seattle, Jason Morabel is an 11-game hitting streak on the line. His average sits at 316. The OPS is rising. He's been able to get a couple of extra base hits together. First career homer in the 2nd game of this series against Seattle. As he puts it on the ground, should be 2, and it is. Jason Morabel, perfect fit for the White Sox with the double play. He'll get one more chance, though, in the 9th against Colin Snyder, as he finds himself behind in the count 1-2, looking to keep the hit streak alive. Currently sitting at 11 games. And, well, the hit streak is alive. There was a hit on that play. Am I wrong? Luis Robert drives Morabel in off of a triple, but it won't matter. The Mariners win it 4-6. So we split the series against Seattle. We take the first 2. They take the last 2. Drew Thorpe, yikes. 3 innings, 6 earned runs. At least Noah Schultz has just been, inconsistent this year. He's had some good starts. Drew Thorpe has been outright bad. I don't know what the deal is with him. Tyler Locklear did not continue his homer streak because he didn't play. I don't know why the Mariners didn't have him out there. But I do want to look at this other game we won. Jason Morabel, first career homer, first career triple. And then Bryce Miller played quite well against the team who traded him away this offseason. We didn't get to talk about the Rangers series, but we took 2 of 3. Stinker in the last game, though, only getting 2 hits. Julks and Lubov, our 2 best offensive players, were the only guys with hits in that game. We had a really good performance on the mound from Hayden Wisniewski, but he got the loss because our offense gave him no run support. We're now 2 games ahead of Minnesota in the division. They have only won 3 of their last 10. We're actually the number 2 seed in the AL entirely. The AL is a lot worse than the NL. I mean, look at some of the records in this league, particularly the Dodgers, who are 46-16, and that's with a 3-game losing streak. They are slugging .544. Their team OPS as a team is above 900. That's wild. Look at the winning percentages. NL is 1st, 2nd, 3rd, tied for 4th, 6th, 7th, 8th. The NL is loaded. If we were in the National League, we would not be in the playoffs right now. But because we're in the American League, not only are we in the playoffs, not only are we leading our division, but we would have a first-round bye if the season ended today as the number 2 seed. We would actually potentially match up with Baltimore in the first round of the playoffs. We're going to play against them here in the first game of this series, mixing and matching around in the lineup. Jason Morabel hitting in the leadoff spot. I picked this game in particular because I want to pitch with Hayden Wisniewski. This will probably be his last start for a little while with Hagen Smith coming back. Over his last 6 games, he's been really good. He's only started 2 of them, but he has had an awesome year. 23 2/3 innings, 1.14 ERA. That's ridiculous. And on the year, In 41 innings, 1.31. The goal as a pitcher is run prevention. And there have not been many guys in Major League Baseball who have done a better job of preventing runs than Hayden Wesneski, who also has a career-high strikeout rate. As you can see, gets Kenny Thompson, the center fielder, to chase, a fourth-rounder in the 2027 draft. Jarren Duran, one of the new additions to the Orioles, hits it sharply to short. Montgomery's throw is off the mark. And E6. That was a really good play, too. It was 106 off the bat. Not an easy grab for Colson, but the throw was just way offline. Duran digs for second. Throw from Teal, not in time. This Orioles team might be the fastest collection of baseball players I've ever seen. I mean, these guys have unreal speed. As Mike Trout belts it into center, Luis Robert will make the play. We get out of the first inning, stranding one run who reached off of an error. Wesneski really had to get 4 outs there. As we go to the bottom of the first, we take a look at Michael King on the bump for the Orioles. They spent a lot of money on this pitching staff. The Michael King signing has not been one of their better decisions. He has an ERA above 5, and his whip sits at 1.5. They'll face off against Corey Julks, the average all the way down to a measly 392. As he sends this one into center field, that'll go for a hit. Julks' numbers over his last 10 games are getting perpetually worse and worse and worse as the year goes along. But, like, his OPS over his last 10 is still 900. I mean, he's getting worse, but he's still playing really well. Luis Robert swings at a pitch he should not have on the ground. That'll go for a double play. It's remarkable that Lou Bob is this good and has some of the worst plate discipline on the team. Like, he has to be the best pure raw hitter in the American League because his plate skills are not good. Ben Rice, swinging and miss, the former Yankee. Good pitch there by Wesneski. The swing and miss stuff continuing to be impressive from Hayden this year as he gets Brandon Lau swinging out of his shoes. Part of the Gunnar Henderson trade with the Dodgers that also netted the Orioles Roki Sasaki, who will pitch in the last game of this series. Bottom 2, Ketel Marte hits it over to short. Good scoop by Jackson Holliday. Throw to first, not in time. An infield single for Ketel Marte. Good hustle by the veteran. We haven't really talked about Marte that much this year, but he's given us pretty much exactly what we paid for. He hasn't been great, but he's been really steady, really reliable. Holliday the scoop to second, to first. Double play! 6-4-3. The Orioles turn 2 yet again, and we move into the third. Livan Soto making his season debut as he chases the circle change. This is actually the first big league game that Soto has played in 5 years. And it's crazy because he's a career 350 hitter. Kenny Thompson into the outfield. Cato makes the play. And that'll get us through 3. Hayden Wesneski is not allowed a hit or a walk yet. The only Oriole base runner got on off of an error. The problem is our offense has been equally as bad. Colson Montgomery sends this one into the outfield. It's got some carry, but it is caught. We've been giving Colson a lot of extra playing time in June, and his numbers really have not gone down. He continues to have an outstanding season. As that'll bring us into the fourth. Not a lot of action so far. Still no score. Jackson Holliday up with 1 away, the best player on the team. Grounds it to third. Julks bobbles it. Throw to first. Not in time. I thought they would score an error, but they're going to call it a hit. And the no-hitter, and I guess the imperfect game, if you will, is over for Wesneski. Holliday digs for second. Not even close. Kyle Teal guns him down. Part-time ball player, full-time sniper. Ball don't lie, I guess. Holliday never should have gotten on. He didn't hit that ball that well. And it's a good thing he was out because Mike Trout pummels this one into left center. That would have scored Holliday probably even from first as Cato fumbles the ball picking it up. It's a 2-out double for Mike Trout. And the Orioles get a runner here in scoring position for Rice, who chases the high full-count fastball. That probably would have been ball 4 if he let it go, too. Great pitch by Wesneski, who's through 4 scoreless. Bottom 4, top of the order. Jason Morobel leading off as he sends that one into left field for a base hit. And he has a new hit streak at 1. The dude is basically our team's version of, like, Luis Ariz. Although he's a better defender than Ariz. But he's just going to slap singles around. Perfect leadoff guy. Digs for second. He's safe. Close call. Not a bad throw by Luis Torrens. But Morobel is in with his 5th stolen base of the year. After advancing to third, that'll bring up Luis Robert, who grounds this one over to first, fielded not cleanly at all by Ben Rice. He'll tag the base, but that'll score Morabel. It's an RBI. And the White Sox are on the board first. They lead at 1-0. Good piece of base running that inning from Morabel. Stolen base, tag up, scores off the grounder. Top 5, Edward Julian goes down on the slurve. Good pitch by Hayden Wisniewski. His stamina rating is not elite, so I don't want to keep him out there too long, but he's pitching so well as he strikes out Luis Torrens. He is shoving through this lineup, and this is a regular day in the office for Hayden Wisniewski. This is what he's been doing all year. This is nothing new for him. As Shane Schmidt singles into right, a 2-out base runner here for the White Sox. Schmidt's having a good month of June. He's really coming along, just as we would have hoped. Douglas Cato, though, pops it up. Luis Torrens is under it, and it looks like he'll make the play. It's crazy to think that the Orioles had both Adley Rutschman and Samuel Basallo on their roster, yet Luis Torrens is the starting catcher, while Adley just won a World Series last year in Philadelphia. Livan Soto chases the circle change, another punch-out for Hayden Wisniewski. Now facing off against Kenny Thompson. Ahead in the count, 2-1. Thompson over the extended glove of Montgomery. Cato looks to get to it, not quick enough. This kid Thompson has 99 speed, strolls into second with a 1-out double, and the Orioles got a runner in scoring position. We'll see if they can tie the game up. I'm going to take Wisniewski out of the game for a couple of reasons. I mean, for one thing, again, he usually doesn't go past 5 innings. We're already at 5 1/3. I don't want to risk it. But also, the Orioles have a lot of lefties coming up. Jarren Duran, a lot better against righties. Jackson Holliday, a lot better against righties. So we want to be smart with the matchup. And if we were playing against righties, I probably would have stuck it out with Wisniewski. But we're going to bring in John King, who will face off against Duran here with a full count. Runner aboard, 1 away, 1-0 in the top of the 6th. As Duran belts it into the gap. That's going to score Thompson with no problem. Duran around second, goes for third. Marte, the throw, not in time. A 1-out triple for Jarren Duran. So not only do the Orioles tie it, but they have one of the fastest players in the league, 90 feet away from home. Looked like Duran was using a tennis racket on that swing. As Jackson Holliday puts it on the ground, that's going to score Duran. We're just going to get the easy out at first, as the Orioles take the lead 2-1. That'll bring up Mike Trout with 2 away, ahead in the count 3-1. A bounce-back year for Trout last year. This season he's been kind of mid again, but still good overall, more so mid for his standards. Good play there by Cato to cut that ball off. Throw is offline, though, and Trout slides into second safely with a double. That'll bring up Ben Rice, another lefty-on-lefty matchup. I think the Orioles are starting like 7 lefties or something. As he grounds it over to first. Caro fields it cleanly, runs over to the base, and that gets us through 6. The Orioles take the lead, though, 2-1, as Colson Montgomery will lead things off here in the bottom half. Michael King still in the game, having a great start. As Montgomery checks his swing, umpire says he did go around. Corey Julks now. Count is even 1-1. Julks sends it into right. That one is not going to drop. It's caught by Trout as it remains 2-1. Our offense, who's been good, really good over the last week or so, has had nothing going today for the most part. Brandon Lau goes down on the circle change. Good pitch by King, continuing to really exploit this lefty-on-lefty matchup. They've got a righty coming up with 2 away, so we're actually going to bring in Jairo Uriarte. I think the ERA is kind of deceiving. He had that one really bad game against Toronto a couple weeks ago. Otherwise, though, he's had a really good year as he faces off against the catcher, Luis Torrens. And he puts this one up the middle. Montgomery, good scoop. Throw to first is in time. That'll bring us to the bottom of the 7th. Offense, let's get it together, guys. It's not even like we're struggling with runners on base, which is normally the issue. We're not getting guys on to begin with. We're not hitting the ball well. We're not drawing walks. As Zach Jackson is in, the last 7 pitches to Ketel Marte have been fouled off. This has been an unbelievable at-bat, and he ends up drawing a walk. That was like 12 pitches. Again, including 7 foul balls in a row. So much so that they have to take Jackson out after the AB because it was so long. So the Orioles are going to go to their second pitcher of the inning. That being Chris Bubich, the reigning reliever of the year in the AL. hasn't quite been as good this year. 4.88 ERA for the lefty. We're going to bring Daniel Schneemann in off the bench for Kyle Teal. Teal's in a slump, and with the lefty matchup, I just don't really want him out there. As Schneemann hits it pretty well in the left center, but it is caught. Remains 2-1. We'll go into the 8th. I'm going to keep Iriarte in for a little bit, just so we can get through the top of the order, because the leadoff hitter is a righty. That does mean we have him against lefty Livan Soto, who has struck out twice so far today, and he strikes out again. I want to get the righty-on-righty matchup with Kenny Thompson. I don't think Thompson's that good of a hitter, but I really don't want him on base with his 99 speed. The 1-2, sure enough, Thompson hits it well. Morabel does not make the diving catch. That's got to be probably 3. As Thompson heads around second, he is into third with a triple. And now with Duran and Holiday due up, this is where we go back to the lefty. So Iriarte's taken out of the game, and we bring in Brock Burke, who's had a phenomenal year. He was good last year, has been even better this season. 2.6 ERA. He's cooled off a little bit after a really good start, but still very, very strong campaign from the southpaw. Big opportunity for Duran, up 3-1, crushes it into right. Morabel cannot make the play, it rolls to the wall. Duran tripled in his last at-bat, he's looking for 3 again. Gonna be close, not in time. Another triple for Duran, his second of the game. Third for the Orioles this afternoon, and that'll make it 3-1. Jackson Holiday now up for the O's, looking to really put an exclamation point onto this lead as he hits it into center. Luis Robert is under it. He's got a cannon of an arm. The throw to the plate is on line, but just not in time. Duran a little bit too fast, and it's 4-1. So Burke lets up a triple and a sac fly against the two lefties as he now faces off against Mike Trout. The 1-2 pitch, swing and a miss on the circle change. O's add 2 more, though. They're in a good spot, leading this game 4-1. Can our offense maybe get something going here? I know it's a big ask, but maybe. 7, 8, 9 hitters due up. We'll start with Shane Schmidt, who swings and misses at the slider. Good pitch by Bubic, also taking advantage of the lefty-on-lefty. Brian Ramos entered the game in the last inning as a defensive substitution. He draws a walk, so we've got a base runner with 1 away. And now Cleveland's going to cut right to the chase. They're going to bring in their new closer, Emmanuel Clase, who they signed from Cleveland. That'll bring up Jason Morabel, who sends this one high into the outfield. Chasing after it, the play is made. I hope you bet the under on runs in the bottom of the 8th, like Emmanuel Clase. We'll go top 9, still 4-1 in favor of Baltimore, as that'll bring up the middle of the order with Burke still in. Lefty, 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 due up for the O's. Edward Julian singles in to right. We'll see if Baltimore can really look to ice this lead. Our bullpen has not had a great game. Brandon Lau, 1-2. This one is grounded to second. Waldo over to Marte to first. Not in time! And the Orioles keep the inning alive. So we're going to make a switch. We're going to bring in Penn Murphy. Hasn't been great as of recent. His ERA now starts with a 4. But they have a righty up, and Burke has been in for a while. I felt like we needed to take him out. Luis Torrens hits it high and pretty deep in a right field. Morabel will make the play. It's a 3-run game. It's not looking good for us. White Sox money line is a pretty big number. I'm just saying, Emmanuel Clase, you can make a lot of money out of this. As he strikes out Corey Julks. All you got to do is put something over the heart of the plate. Lou Bob's crushing it. Well, he gets a good pitch to hit, and he does crush it into the right center gap. That'll roll to the wall. Finally, an extra base knock here for Chicago as he makes his way over to second base with a double. So we have a runner on scoring position. That'll bring up Edgar Caro. The 1-1. Caro hit sharply to short. What a play by Holiday. Throw to first is in time. Emmanuel Clase's parlay is now ruined. Great job, Jackson. The game comes down to Ketel Marte. Walked his last at-bat. Walks again. Okay, hold on. Maybe we do have something interesting here. The tying run is up at the plate, and guess who it is? My glorious knight in shining armor, Daniel Schneemann. What you got for me, buddy? Count is full. First and second, 2 away for Demon Schneeman. Pops this one up high. He doesn't hit it well. Is it going to drop? No, I thought it had a chance. Right into no man's land, but Kenny Thompson's too fast. Orioles win it 4-1. Rough showing offensively. We did not hit the ball well. We've had a lot of good offensive games recently. This certainly was not one of them. The Orioles only had 8 base runners, but of those 8, 6 of them came off of extra base hits. 3 doubles, 3 triples. As for us, we did not have a lot going at the plate. 5 hits, 3 walks, only 1 extra base knock. That was Lubob's double in the 9th. He was also the only player to bring in a run. Wisniewski was pretty good. Bullpen, not so much. So we get some interesting injury news. Emiliano Teodo tears his groin. I thought he had a chance to make his big league debut this year. That certainly makes that less likely. Let's make it through the rest of June. 5 games at home against the O's and the Astros. 6-game road trip with the Angels and the Brewers. And then at home against the Pirates and the Rangers. So here in this second game, Luis Robert has homered twice. He's not slowing down at all. His OPS has gone up today. The problem is the rest of the offense is laying an egg. On the bright side, though, Corey Julks will up his hitting streak to 11 with a single into center. There have just been too many games this year where it feels like other than the stars, the rest of the guys don't do enough. Even though the offense as a unit has been good, we might have a chance here. Marte brings in a run. It's 6-5. He's on base as the tying run. Shane Schmidt is up as the winning run against Emmanuel Clase. This one is hit well into left center. That's going to go for a hit. I thought it was going to travel into the gap. I think we're probably going to sub out both of these base runners. Marte is somewhat fast, but Oswaldo Escobedo is faster. And then as the winning run, I would much rather have Douglas Cato aboard compared to Schmidt, even though Schmidt apparently is a good base stealer. We're also going to go to the bench, bring in Jason Morobel as a pinch hitter. All we need is a single to tie the game. So I figure, why not bring in our best singles hitter? He's already behind 0-2, looking at the first 2 pitches. 486 with runners in scoring position, despite having a low clutch rating. The 0-2 pops it foul. I guess Morobel has not been accepted into the White Sox initiation yet, given that his runners in scoring position average is so high. Tough pitch to lay off. I'm impressed he did. Working a nice at bat now with Clase, the 2-2. Why did he check swing at that? That was such a good at bat. And then he does that. Orioles win this game 6-5. The offense impressing for Baltimore. They had 10 of 11 hits be singles, though, so the opposite of the last game. As for us, Lubob homered twice. Teal went deep as well. Jagger Haynes gets the loss. He was pretty bleh in this one. And in the last game, Bryce Miller is a shutout, and they're actually going to keep him in for it. We're leading this game 8-0, completely dominating, as Jarren Duran belts that one into the opposite field. I'm curious to see if they keep him in. He's got a real shot for a Maddox, currently sitting at like 80 pitches or something. Yeah, 85. 0-2 for Brandon Lau. That one is grounded to second. We'll get the first out. Duran, though, with his 95 speed, makes it over to third base. 0-2 for Ben Rice. This one is grounded over to first. You know, I probably should have run to the base. Good play there by Schmidt to get the out. Duran scores, though, so the shutout is dead. But Miller should be able to finish it off, you'd think. Let's up a single to center. I'm surprised he's still in the game. We're up by 7. I feel like it's a little reckless to keep him out there, even with the low pitching count. But I guess it's going to work out as Soto puts it on the ground. They're going to get the out at second. And the White Sox avoid the sweep, winning this last game in dominant fashion, 8-1. Bryce Miller leads the charge with a complete game. Teal, back-to-back games with a homer. Schneeman goes deep. Caro goes deep. Schmidt goes deep. All 3 of them with their 7th of the year. Now a 13-game hitting streak on the line for Corey Julks. In this last game against the Astros, we lost the first 2, looking to avoid the sweep. As we keep the hit streak going, that one rolls into the gap. Julks into second base with a double. Does that scoreboard say 6-7? Edgar Caro had a 2-run double. Torkelson brought in a run for the Astros. We still end up getting the win, though, 9-7, avoiding the sweep against a gritty Houston team who, for being like the 26th ranked team in the game, they've been a lot better than I would have expected. No home runs, but, I mean, we drove in 9. Everybody produced. We had 18 base runners. Jagger Haynes did not make it out of the first inning, but it's not because he was bad. I would have expected him to get injured, but he's not injured, apparently. So I don't know why they took him out. Luis Robert, triple shy of the cycle here in this first game against the Angels. Doesn't look like it is going to happen, but Lou Bob continuing to ball out. His OPS is literally 100 points ahead of anybody else in the American League, while being one of the, if not the most valuable defensive players in the AL. As we get the win 3-2 as Valenzuela shuts the door. Good start to the series against an Angels team who is pretty bad. There are some really good teams in Major League Baseball and some really bad ones. The Angels certainly towards the bottom. Hagen Smith's first start since March, he was pretty good. 5 innings, 2 earned runs, looking pretty solid back out there, and he broke his arm. You have got to be kidding me. So Hagen Smith starts 1 game and goes right back to the 60-day injured list. That is incredibly unlucky. And now we're not going to see him until probably August. So Prelander Berroa is going to come back up. He pitched 1 game in AAA, didn't even start. 5 1/3 innings, allowed 1 base runner. It looked too easy for him. He'll be the lone reliever. Hayden Wesneski will go back to the rotation. Douglas Cato goes back on the injured list for a short time. He'll be replaced by Braden Montgomery, who's been good enough in the minors. I would have liked to see him dominate, but he's been good. So we'll bring him back up. We ended up splitting the last 2 games against the Angels. Now against Milwaukee in a close one, they will intentionally walk Colson Montgomery to set up a force out at all 3 bases. And they're going to bring in Josh Hader, who's back in Milwaukee, looking to get a big out for the Brew Crew as they face off against Jason Morobel. Count is full, bases loaded, 2 away, swing and a miss! Morobel goes down on strikes. Josh Hader with a big out for the Brew Crew. We're going to move all the way to the 12th. No score change. Both pitching staffs pitching really well. First and second, 1 away. Morobel back up for the White Sox as he swings and misses again. Caleb Ferguson with the strikeout, and that'll bring up Corey Julks. He hits this one high and pretty deep into right field. Back at the track, at the wall, it is gone! Corey Julks puts the White Sox ahead. The LINSANITY run I thought was over. His average is down below 350, and his OPS over his last 10 games is pretty bad. He might be back, though, with a huge 3-run shot. Full count for Teal, draws a walk. He was 0 for 5 before that at bat. Teal has had a rough month or so, has not been kind to him, but at least he gets on base there. Luis Robert hits this one well into right. It is going to be caught for the 3rd and final out of the inning. Sox get 3, though, with the homer by Julks. That ends up being the difference. Brock Wilken brings in a run off of a double. Another guy who we almost traded for. He was almost the Kyle Schwarber trade package, and in hindsight, probably would have been better than Luis Angel Acuna, given that Acuna is not on our team anymore. But nonetheless, we win the game 5-3. Brian Ramos had the only home run and runs provided in regulation, and then Julks with the homer in the 12th to win it. That'll bring us to this next game. We're up 4-2, 2 on, 2 away. Jefferson Caro into left. It's caught by Montgomery, and the White Sox take the first 2 in Milwaukee. Jefferson Caro, by the way, as far as I'm aware, no relations to Edgar, given that the 2 of them are not even from the same country. Jefferson's from Venezuela. Edgar, who had 2 hits, a homer, and a walk, is from Cuba. Both of the catchers homered. Kyle Teal went deep as well. And then Hayden Wesneski, 7 scoreless. Welcome back to the rotation, buddy. I think we'll be okay with him starting games over the next couple of months. Penn Murphy suffers a concussion, though. We're going to replace him with Dre Jamison, a guy who we got a couple years ago. Has not pitched in the big league since 2023, but a career Major League ERA in the mid-2s. So we lost the last game against Milwaukee, and we've also lost the first 2 against Pittsburgh, in danger of being swept. But we can change our fortunes here. Tied at 7, bottom of the 8th, bases loaded. Kyle Teal has homered twice today. How are we not going to score here? What hilarious way will we do to mess this up? What? Wow. Did that ball go off of, like, the foul tarp into his glove? How is that legal? Like, come on. That is so incredibly on brand for this team to not score there. Pirates would end up taking the lead, 9-8. So now we've got to come back and tie this game here in the bottom of the ninth. Luckily, Luis Robert reaches base early. That'll bring up Edgar Caro, who has 3 hits today. And Caro gets his 4th. In a right center field, Luis Robert will score. Felix Bautista blows the save, and we are tied at 8. This game going back and forth. Now we're looking for the walk-off. With 1 away, it's Shane Schmidt up for the White Sox. That one gets away from Eduardo Tait, and Caro is out at second. What a throw behind the plate by Tait, acquired for Mitch Keller a few years ago. A trade that honestly has worked out really well for both sides. Keller's been great in Philadelphia. Tait's been awesome with the Pirates. As Shane Schmidt strikes out, Bautista gets through the inning. We'll travel into the top of the 10th. 2 on, 1 away. Liover Peguero comes in as a pinch hitter. He hits lefties pretty well. We are going to keep John King in the game here. And that might have been a mistake. Yeah, that one gets by Lou Bob. Should probably score both of the runs, as it will be 9-8. Around third to the plate, it's 10-8. 2-run triple for Liover Peguero. We're going to go back to the pen. Jairo Iriarte, his ERA up to 4.5. It has not been a very good month for him. He's shown some really good things as a reliever, but the consistency's just not there. Bo Bichette into left. Kyle Teal will make the play, but they are going to score Peguero without much issue, despite an awesome throw from Kyle Teal, who, minus the ridiculous foul out, has had a great game with the 2 homers. Eduardo Tait up for the Pirates. Count is even 2-2. Got him looking. Good pitch by Iriarte. We ended up getting 1 in the bottom of the 10th, but after that big inning by the Pirates, that's not going to be enough, as we lose the game 11-9, despite another RBI from Yason Morobel. He gets a double. So we get swept by a pretty mediocre Pirates team. We've lost 4 games in a row. I don't know if we've been swept all year. So certainly uncharted waters for us, really struggling in this series. The first 2 games, we only scored 1 run. In this game, the offense actually showed up, but it didn't matter because we let up 11. Kyle Teal went deep twice, Schmidt with a homer, Julks with another homer. The offense crushed it, but Drew Thorpe, 2 2/3 innings, 5 earned runs, and the bullpen wasn't much better. We're playing poorly at a bad time because the number 1 seed Rangers are in town, tied at 1 in the first game. You'll never guess who's responsible for our only run so far. I think Lou Bob's at, 23 homers now this year? We're not even halfway through the season. Ketel Marte gets a piece of this one, however, and crushes it into center field, and the White Sox take the lead 2-1. Marte's 13th home run of the year. That one goes 451 feet as we take the lead 2-1. We would not keep the lead, however, as it's tied at 2 into the bottom of the 9th. Ezra blows the save, but we've got a chance to walk it off. The winning run, Luis Robert at second base. Brian Ramos is up, but we're going to go to the bench. We're going to bring in Edgar Caro, who's played well in the month of June. I wouldn't say he's been great, but he's been a lot better than he's been. Caro hits that one a mile into the air. Actually has quite a bit of carry, but it will be caught in center field by Robbie Gerard. And that'll bring us into extras, tied at 2, looking to avenge the losing streak. Well, Lipscomb brings home a run off of the single. It's 3-2. We're going to bring Shane Schmidt in as a pinch hitter to try to save the day with Caro, who's reasonably fast at second base, aboard for Chicago. Nice scoop at first. That would have tied the game, but a great grab by Josh Naylor prevents that. It'll come down to Demon Schneeman. He's behind in the count, 1-2. And he puts this one on the ground. Good scoop at third. Play over to first is in time from Trey Lipscomb. And the Rangers win the first game 3-2. Now a 5-game losing streak for the White Sox, who are really in a rut here towards the end of June. Good start for Cody Bradford. Only let up 1 earned run, which doesn't make sense because both runs he allowed were homers. Interesting. As for Hayden Wisniewski, dominant again. 6 scoreless innings. His ERA is at 1.14. When Hagen Smith comes back in August, I don't know who's moving out of the rotation, but at this point, I do not think it will be Hayden Wisniewski because he is playing too well. Douglas Cato is back. We're going to send Braden Montgomery back down to the minors. As Shane Schmidt is a triple shy of the cycle, I'll tell you right now, he doesn't hit a triple here because he's slow as dirt, minus the ability to steal bases. Although, if there's any pitcher he would do it against, it would be Danny Young, the former White Sox, who was one of the worst players we've had in this series, and that says something. Although he's having a good year with the Rangers, his ERA is in the 2s. No cycle for Shane Schmidt, but he's now 4 for 4, singling into center. Lot of offense down the stretch. The Rangers actually had Corey Seager up as the tying run, but Ezra Valenzuela comes in and shuts the door after the rest of the bullpen nearly blew it. The 5-game losing streak for Chicago is over. Great start for Bryce Miller. 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 run, 10 Ks. And the win, Schmidt goes 4 for 4, triple shy of the cycle. Edgar Caro with a good game, 2 for 3, a walk, drove in 3 runs. Good to see him continuing to have a strong month. We'll hop into this last game. We're not doing well. We're down 6-0. But Ketel Marte will have an opportunity to continue the hit streak against AL Cy Young favorite Sandy Alcantara. This one hit into center. That one will be caught. No hit streak for Marte. No runs for the White Sox as the Rangers get the shutout 6-0 off of a brilliant performance on the mound for Sandy Alcantara, who's had a ridiculously good season in Texas. 8 scoreless, getting the win for the Rangers. Not a very good game offensively. Sometimes you're the windshield. Sometimes you're the bug. It happens. Today we were the bug. Noah Schultz got the start. He was fine, I guess. We did win the other game, though, against the Rangers. But overall, not a great month of June. I feel like we were just really inconsistent throughout the month. The offense had a lot of good games, but a lot of bad games. Minnesota was not very good, though, during the month of June, which is nice. But our division is really getting close. All 5 teams are within 5 games of each other. By far the most competitive division right now in Major League Baseball. So even though we're in first, it's not convincing because we've got 5 teams on our, or I guess 4 teams on our tail. Edgar Caro, of course, as I mentioned, had a much better month. His WAR goes up by nearly a full point, hitting .382 in his last 10. The power still is not great, but it's good to see him hitting for contact. Corey Julks, meanwhile, the LINSANITY run is dead. It is over. He still has an OPS in the mid to high 900s. That's how good he was earlier in the year. Colson Montgomery's LINSANITY run might be over too. He has fallen off the map the last couple of weeks. 3 for his last 35. I do want to look at the All-Star voting. We're obviously going to have some guys make it. Bryce Miller, Hayden Wisniewski, Ezra Valenzuela, all currently slated to get in. Look at catcher. Kyle Teel in second, Edgar Caro in fourth. Both guys have been disappointing this year, yet one or both of them are going to be All-Stars, which speaks to how high of a standard we have those 2 guys with. Other than that, not a lot of other position players. Luis Robert is probably the only other guy who's going to make it, which is obvious, although he's fallen to second for the AL MVP, which is a crime. Corey Seager's ahead of him. His numbers are not better. Before we wrap up, I do quickly want to talk some scouting. We're not going to go over some film today. We're going to save that for the next episode during the actual draft. But I do briefly want to go over the draft prospects, even if it's a little less suspenseful, now that we don't have a super high pick, number 17 overall in the first round. I thought about drafting a pitcher in the first round last year, and if not for Shane Schmidt, I probably would have. We've done a lot of work on these pitchers, and there are some good players. Nelson Ono, 18-year-old lefty from Japan. Maurice Veras. I really like the hits and walks per 9 skill set, and he throws gas. Alan Olson opted out of his physical. Don't love that. He also throws super hard. And then Alberto Cordova would be the other guy I think we look at in the first round, assuming none of the guys projected in the top 10 were to fall to us. Really like the starting pitching class. We're going to scout some more relievers. We've done work on a couple guys so far. Of course, the Ezra Valenzuela pick was a huge hit. I don't think it's a bad idea to do it again. What about a guy like Bruno Merced? He has a palm ball. I really like the skill set. He has a high stamina rating. We could convert him to a starter. We can convert Ezra to a starter. Laureate Wordham keeper is pretty good as well. And then I think we're going to scout Robert Coleman before we get to the draft. We don't need a catcher, obviously, but I've done a lot of work on Sebastian Gallegos. I really like him. He looks awesome. In terms of position players to watch out for, Alex Negron was my guy, but he failed his physical, which is a major concern. Carlos Rodriguez is a high floor third baseman. I think there's a good shot he makes it to our pick. Shortstop, Jarvis Pittenger. I like him for the second round. Really good defender. I think he'll stick it short. The question, though, is if the bat will develop enough to be big league caliber. We've scouted quite a few outfielders. I don't think it's a great outfield class. I do kind of like Bo Felton, though. Very similar to the kid we just looked at shortstop in terms of his ratings, in terms of his skill set. Very defense-oriented, and he is super fast, which probably puts him into the first round. I think the strength of this class, though, is the pitching. If there was ever a year to draft one in the first round, now would probably be the time to do so. If any of those prospects caught your guys' eyes, let me know down below in the comments. 44-38 going in the month of July, and we've got a tough schedule. The Royals, the Mets, the Dodgers on the road. They're 57-24. The Padres are really good as well. Of course, we're going to get through the draft, the All-Star break as well. It's shaping up to be a really exciting second half of the year with all 5 teams in the mix for the AL Central. We'll see if we can hold on to first place through July. Hope you guys enjoyed. Make sure to leave a like. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new. Peace out.